Hello, Rick.
How you doing?
I'm doing well, doing well. How was your last couple of weeks?
Busy?
Weeks.
Yeah,
How?
very busy.
Oh, busy, busy. Okay. Well, I can relate to that. Yes.
Yeah, leaving tomorrow on vacation.
Oh, well, that's a good thing. That's a good thing.
Yep.
How are things going with the book studies and the community activities?
Uh, Pretty well. I've been kind of muted a little bit. We did have some good Lenten lunches
Well,
at two white churches and four African American churches.
that's good.
And after I get back from this trip, I'm scheduled to talk to a religion class, a class on Christianity or on world religions at Claflin.
That's wonderful.
And have two baptisms to do when I get back, one infant and one high school senior. So
And
God's doing
Emily coming in.
wonderful things.
Okay, so I guess we get our update. Hello there.
Emily,
Get our update
Hey.
on. Hey, Emily, how are you? Okay.
I'm doing all right.
Good, good, good.
But home still seems like the place to be tonight. So
Well, that's a good thing. That's a good thing.
yeah.
Wait,
Pastor Miho let it know that she would not be able to join us tonight. I haven't
oh,
heard from anyone else.
okay. And of course, we're waiting for Jackie to come in. She's supposed to leave tonight, right?
I believe so.
Yeah. And I see Jackie coming in now, so don't worry.
Why would we worry? She wouldn't let us down.
Don't worry. Hello there, how are you? Good, good.
Hey, you guys. How you
Hey,
doing?
hey, cutie.
I'm doing well.
I was
Yeah.
good.
The Lord is blessing.
Yeah, I was at a meeting at my church, and the neighborhood meeting is always the second Tuesday.
Yeah, yeah.
And so anyway, I was gonna get online, but I said, oh, I think I'm leaving tonight. right? So I think I'll be here in person with you.
How
about that?
Sounds like a winner to me.
Yeah, uh-huh,
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
we got our
Well,
two.
And it's fun to be, it's fun to be in person sometimes too, just to
Yeah, it is.
get the
Yeah,
human interactions.
that's right. That's
Are
right.
you gonna, do you have any details about the book study, coming up for May and June?
We know that it is happening. Neil, if you're online, this would be an excellent time for you to hop on because I know you have a little bit more. But Mark Allen Powell is going to be leading it. For at least those of us who are in my generation of seminary, Mark Allen Powell is the guy who wrote our Gospels book.
Yeah, that name was
And-
ringing a bell. I was like, I know
Yeah.
that.
And he's coming in to teach us about stewardship. So the first one's actually going to be pre-recorded, like he's got a lecture kind of for us. And then
Okay.
the other 3 sessions are going to be more conversational. We're going to have him online live. They're available for anyone in the Synod to participate in. You don't have to be registered for Synod Assembly. We don't care if you're Lutheran. We just care that you have a Zoom account or a friend who has a Zoom account. So this would be a good thing for your stewardship teams to get involved in, or anyone else who's kind of interested in digging a little bit deeper in discipleship.
Mhm.
Okay, so then, and that is in May, so our sessions, we're gonna hold it off for a couple of months.
Yeah,
Okay.
so we'll hold off in May and then bounce back in June.
May. All right, so then we'll come back and pick up our book again.
Yes.
So,
Okay,
we won't finish it by the 23rd, because I see you noted here that we got something on the 23rd.
the 23rd.
16 through 17.
Will be the last one.
That's what I have noted. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay.
Okay. Matter of fact,
Okay. You show that, Emily? Do you have that on your record?
Yeah, we're not going to be able to finish it. There's too much. There's too much for us to
Okay.
rush it.
I got you. So we'll stop at 17 is what you're saying.
Yeah.
7.
But I'm pretty sure we're going to remember where we left off.
Oh, yeah, because those of us who really get something out of it will read it to the end anyway.
Yeah,
Oh yeah,
Oh, yeah, like you already have, probably, but you haven't.
I have. but-
Yeah, because it's an easy read. Like you said, you don't even have to put it down. You can read it in one sitting almost if you got time.
yeah, we'll go to, Herman will have 16 and 17.
17, okay,
Okay, and,
okay,
that will be our last session until
Okay.
after.
okay.
Okay.
And so then you said we'll take back up in June. We
In
won't have it in
June.
May. Okay.
We'll have to, well, on that June, we have to get direction from assistant to the bishop.
Oh, okay.
On
I mean,
June,
we can go ahead and set June dates now.
okay, all right,
Mm. Thank you.
June 4th, we can't do. Because it's right after basically the first half of the month is out for us. June 4th, there's a workshop on, I think it's the new compensation guidelines. Either
then we got-
June 2nd is the budget and June 4th is the compensation guidelines, or I have it reversed. But either way, no.
And that
Um,
weekend is Senate.
Yeah, and June 11th is in the official Synod staff
Yeah.
Synod Assembly sleep-in days.
okay.
Right.
That's
So I would recommend that we do the 18th.
the 18th of June.
And the question is, do we want to do 2 weeks in a row and pick up, or do we want to do July 2nd?
I think that since we're in June in the summer, we better go with just the 18th.
Okay.
Yeah, and then
Okay.
go to July. Okay. Anything special about July? We just, this is, okay,
Mhm.
we can do 2 weeks in July. Cause that's,
To finish this up with a finish.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you remember, I put out a survey about July and June, but we kept it wasn't terribly convincing on one date versus another.
okay,
Does the youth gathering affect too many of us?
Doesn't affect me at all, you know.
not me.
Okay. Because then we could do July 2nd, 16th, and 30th and get 3 in July.
So second, 16.
And Neil, oh, he's going the other way. Well, it's about that time.
And the 16.
What were the dates for June?
Hang on, no,
The 18th.
yeah, just the 18th.
Just the 18th.
And then July's got 5 Tuesdays, so we can do it.
Okay,
Mhm.
that sounds like a winner to me.
Yep, but steady in 3 weeks, 3
Mm-hmm.
weeks out of July. Okay, July the long one. Gotcha. Okay.
And thanks for being understanding about June, that it's
Yeah,
like Easter around here.
yep,
Week after, we just don't schedule things.
that's right.
Okay.
Mhm. Mhm.
Okay, we are ready to start. Good evening and welcome to the South Carolina Synod Inclusive Network Book Study. We gather cross-culturally to discuss a variety of topics, plan events and trips, and have a book study. Currently, we are reading Dear Martin by Nick Stone. Our leader tonight is Pastor Jackie Utley. And at this time, we already have our updates. Anything else, Pastor Emily?
Not that I can think of at the moment.
Okay, and so we have with us tonight Herman Yoltz. Hello, Herman.
Hello.
Right on cue.
That took a- that took
And
a-
Jackie.
that took
All
a
right,
break.
and then we have with us Rick and Emily. So
And Bruce.
okay, and
Bruce.
Bruce is here.
And Bruce.
And then of
Bruce
course,
hiding.
and I'm almost sure that Helen is there someplace. All right.
And we're glad.
Hello, Bruce.
Greetings.
All right.
Greetings to you.
Okay, if nothing further, then at this time, we'll turn it to our leader for tonight, Pastor Jackie.
Well, I suppose I'll open with a word of prayer.
Great idea.
The Lord be with you.
And also with you.
Also with you.
Also with you.
Yes, good and gracious God, God of mercy, God of grace. We thank you for this holy season of Easter, and we thank you for this opportunity to gather together, the gift of technology that our brothers and sisters can be together, even online, over the airways. And so we thank you for these who have gathered here in mind and spirit for this book study. And we ask you to be with those who would desire to be here, but cannot be here with us, cannot attend on this evening. So we ask that you govern our thoughts, our words, and our deeds as we go forth discussing this particular book, dear Martin. Have your way, and may we be edified from this study, and you be glorified from all that we say and do. These things we pray and ask in your holy name. Amen.
Amen.
Okay, so now from what I understand, tonight we would be doing chapters 13 through 15, but I do believe during our last gathering, Pastor Rick, were you in charge of that one? Were you?
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, and I believe chapter 12, we didn't get to the letter. I think we ended with that and was saying that we'd like to maybe give a little time to chapter 12 regarding the letter that he writes to Martin, because I think Doc came to see Justyce, and he was all hungover and everything, and Doc talked with him, and then when Doc left, he just crashed again, and then the letter was what we did not expound on, or we may have begun and didn't finish it.
Yeah, and in the letter, Justyce talks to Dr. King about a conversation that he and his buddy Manny had with Manny's dad, Mr. Rivers,
Yes.
which I thought was very significant.
Mm-hmm. That's right.
Because Mr. Rivers basically says that what has happened with Manny and Justyce is basically reminded him or told him that he has failed them, his son, in not talking to him about racial prejudice that he has encountered.
Mm-hmm. Mhm, mhm.
and in fact talks to them about one of his young employees using
Right,
the racial slur at work.
yes,
And that was very interesting because he didn't penalize the young man. In fact, he didn't even say anything to the young man.
yeah, and when you
Uh,
bring that up, I think it is instrumental in pointing that out. I notice in the letter, when it's a letter, that there's no number for the page 108, 9, 10,
right.
10, 11, 12, 13 on what would be page 13. When the son asks his dad, "Dad, you didn't do anything?"
Yeah.
You know, here he is, a boss in authority, and
Mhm.
this young man uses a slur regarding him, and it's like, you didn't do anything. And midway down the page, it says, he said, "The young man knows I heard what he said. I have no doubt he'll be on his best behavior going forward." People often learn more from getting an undeserved pass than they would from being punished. That speaks volumes.
Yes.
That really does speak volumes. Even for me, when I
And
read that, I was, huh? Yeah. what's
I
that?
was gonna say, I put a big question mark next to that because I really don't believe that is the truth.
And I do, because I've seen it.
I think
I've,
you have to you have to at least bring it out and
I've
confront
seen it.
people.
Yeah, I've seen it as a pastor and having been offended by a couple of members here or there. And instead of calling them on what was done, well, I kind of look at it as killing them with kindness. My mother, there's a scripture in one of Paul's writings that said, "Heaping coals of fire upon their head." They know they've done you wrong. They know they wronged you. And they know you probably know, just like he said, the young man know I heard him. And when I'm not retaliating at him, it's killing. That's that heaping coals of fire upon a person's head. I've seen it work. They know that she's being nice to me and she ain't coming off on me after they know I did this to them or against them. And it eats away at them. And it will help them think twice about maybe doing that same thing again, or they'll be a little more. So you don't believe, you don't go along with it, you're saying.
Now, my guess is that if someone is that entrenched as a racist, they're simply going to giggle and say, "I got away with it, no big deal," and they'll do it to somebody else. They may not do it to Doc again or to Mr. Rivers again,
Right.
but they'll do it quietly down the hallway, or they'll do it to some other African
And I agree
American
with
that
you.
they.
I agree with you there. Not that it stops that behavior, but there's something that you end up, because you didn't retaliate, you end up getting the upper hand on that person in their
Yeah.
heart and in their mind.
I think Rick is saying there's a place in between retaliation
Yeah,
and showing kindness. And that's that place where maybe it's an awkward silence and like, I can't believe
Yeah.
you said that,
yeah,
but I'm gonna choose to ignore it. I mean, that there is, you can be gracious
Yeah.
to that,
yeah,
at the same time, still look shocked and surprised
yeah,
and so, and really, the truth of the matter is, God is the only one who knows when and how God can use an undeserved pass.
yeah.
Because God gave an undeserved pass to Paul on the road to Damascus.
And I wonder if it's a different experience if Rick gives someone a pass than if Jackie gives someone a pass.
That's probably true too. Good point, Emily.
Good
Because
question. Good point.
if somebody says something in front of Jackie that's racially motivated, they're going to know that Jackie is offended by it. Whereas Rick, they might assume that Rick is entertained by it,
Yeah, true, true.
right?
And not that it
And
would
so-
change the person, because Rick, that's what I think you're speaking to. Not that it changes the person from doing that, repeating that same negative behavior, but when it comes to that person that they know they offended, that could have, especially when you're in a place of power. That's what I'm saying. When you're in a
Right.
place where you can make that person's life miserable,
And you choose not to.
and I choose not to, when it comes to our relationship, you'll respect me more, you'll be careful not to behave that way again, and somehow you'll literally maybe have a different thought about who I am as a person because I could have retaliated. and didn't.
Absolutely.
So there's some good, yeah, I see a little positive side to it.
And
Yes, Dr. McCauley has joined us. Welcome, Dr.
welcome,
McCauley.
Dr. McCauley. Okay, and I also see this thing, and it's here. in
Great
the
to be
book.
here. Glad to be here.
Okay, good, welcome.
Said, it shrugged,
Uh-huh,
and it said, kill them with kindness.
yeah, that's
And
it.
a lot of times, it's not gonna change a lot of people,
Uh-huh,
but it may change somebody.
mm-hmm,
But it also gives you the opportunity to show kindness.
yeah.
And that
helps you.
brings me back to the point that a lot of people in '99 said, I forgive.
Mm. Yeah, that's a good,
That's a
Yes.
good one.
that's a good one.
All right.
Because I remember sitting with one of the members from my church at the time when we were viewing that for the first time.
Yes.
And so the member looked at me and said, no way, there's no way
No way.
I'd be able. And I looked at her and said, I know I wouldn't be there yet. God bless them for being in that place that they can say it. But I don't think I would have been able to say it. And so I commended them on that
And I do commend them on that too,
because I wouldn't have been able to.
because of the fact that that forgiveness is more for us
Yes, yes.
than for them.
Yeah.
But it's also for them because it could possibly bring them around
True. That's true.
to God's way of thinking.
So it's a good thing.
Yes.
It's a good thing not to retaliate. Okay, so in this letter, I looked at it too, Rick, as Justice did let Manny's daddy know, Mr. Julian know, don't blame yourself for not giving him that talk. Cause see, Manny's daddy knows that he brought him up in a white world. He was in a white world. He lived like a white kid, you know, with all the necessities that he needed,
Yeah,
fine house, 3-door garage, and 3 or 4-door garage and all that stuff. And all of his friends were white boys. And so he was growing up like he was a white person, you know, in dark skin. And the dad is like, and I just should have had that talk with him. And so Justice is saying, hey, Mr. Don't beat yourself up. My mother had that talk with me.
Yeah.
And it's not like it would really would have made that much of a difference. So, yeah.
Now, one thing in there is that
Mhm.
these young people, they weren't buying that too much. They were going along because the father was talking,
Mhm.
but they was wondering, why are you
Yeah.
so nice to this
Yeah.
guy
Why you
who
being
done this to
forgiving?
you?
Yeah.
So, so age difference and our religion do
Mhm.
make a difference.
Yes, it does.
It
Now,
does.
that's true too.
Mhm.
And from where we come. Okay, so Rick, Pastor Rick, you got any more you want to say about the letter before we move on to chapter
Just
13?
for the end of the letter, I think one of the most important things that I noticed about the letters, and especially now, is toward the end, he talks about the conversation he'd had with Doc a few days ago, and kind of asking himself questions. What am I doing this for?
Yeah.
What am I trying? Am I trying to get ahead in life, gain some respect,
Mhm.
be able to shove it in the faces of people like Jared I don't even know anymore.
Yeah.
Justice is going through some stuff in his mind
Mhm.
about where he is and what he needs to do,
Yeah.
and so there's still a lot of confusion in there.
Yeah, because one of the key things he said, the bottom of the page there, he says, to think that Mr. Julian has all that authority and still gets disrespected. So this is what a young black man growing up has to look at and go, here's a black man that has achieved, worked his way up, is in a place of authority and still gets disrespected because of his race. And so this is what I got to grow up and look forward to doing as I try to work and pull myself up by the bootstraps, as a white man would say, pull yourself up by your bootstraps, and I don't have any boots. But when I get a pair of boots, pull them up, I'm still going to be disrespected. So he asked Martin, that's what always gets me, Martin, what would you have done? And he knows pretty much what Martin would have done. He knows Martin would have taken the high road just like Mr. Julian, whatever. He said, you probably would have done the same thing, but I don't know about me doing that. And then he came to the question, Better yet, what am I doing it for? Not who am I doing it for, but what am I doing it for? To prove myself or whatever. So I love the letters. I get a kick out of his letters when he talks to the Martin. Yeah. Okay. All righty, we moving on
Chapter
to
13.
chapter 13. Now, Pastor Emily, I remember you saying one week about when you were trying to break the chapters down, and I heard you say something about, yeah, because there's no need to even, it wouldn't make sense to just do 12, 13, and 14 or something like that. And I was like, I wonder why she's saying 12, 13, 14 wouldn't go together, because I didn't know what was happening in chapter 14. And so I just
finished the book.
okay, so I picked the book up and I'm reading chapter 13. And so that's where we are now. Now, is chapter 13 where they would have been going on the trip up to
Stone Mountain.
Stone
That's
Mountain?
it.
That's where they would have been going, right?
Yes.
That was the plan.
Right.
Southern Confederate monument, a white monument. So I mean, that's where these white boys wanted to take their two black friends.
And it was Manny's idea to be going. It was, of course, Manny was going to be going because he's one of them anyway. However, at this point of our story, Manny is no longer one of the boys. These are his childhood friends. And he never was made to really feel like he was any different from them until this last little episode that he came up with, and it was shocking to him. So it's really devastated him, whereas Justyce has just been struggling all along and kind of combating stuff. Manny is like, he's out of his head right now because he's like, I can't believe that this is the world I'm living in now. Wakes up to
I feel like Manny seems more betrayed and Justyce
Yes.
seems more, all right. Like for Manny, there's a personal level that Justyce just seems to go, yeah, that's what they're gonna do.
yeah.
And so I think there's an extra kick for Manny in a certain sense.
Which is why his father felt the way he did. I didn't prepare my son for, just like when we have the talk, those of us who were given the talk growing up, it's like, yeah, you're not white, so don't ever think you are. But your parent has to come to read. Am I right, Rev?
Yes.
We always have to be with our children. Like, I don't care how well dressed you are. I don't care what kind of car you drive. I don't care what kind of education you have. You're still black. And in this world that we're living in, be prepared. And that's what parents do for some of us, and let us know that don't ever get to the point where you think you're one of them. And it shouldn't be a them and us, but it is. That's the way this world was set up racially. And so the idea is, and it's happened. I've seen it happen because we have a thing in our race where we'll say they think they're white. There she is acting white. I've been, and we call black people who think they white and act like they white, we call them Uncle Toms. You know what I mean? I've been calling Uncle Tom all my life.
Oh man, my high school called them Oreos.
Yeah.
Black on the outside, white on the inside.
Okay.
Is the term that we heard.
Yeah. Talk white,
But,
act white.
yeah, and it's, I mean, one of the things that perpetuates the divide that causes the conversation is I'm going to do anything I have to keep my kids safe, right?
Right. That's right.
If I didn't make this divided society, but I'm gonna tell my kid what they need to know.
Yeah.
To
Yeah.
keep themselves safe. And so that's part of the cyclical nature of this whole nonsense.
Yeah. So here's the thing when it comes to race here in chapter 13. What happens is the anger in one black person can become very militant. Now I'm starting to just hate white people because of how unfair the system is. Whereas you got the next black, like Justyce will tolerate and get along with a white person just as long as they respect him and as long as he's not made to feel inferior to them.
Yes.
You see, even seeing and knowing what he does and coming from the hood or coming from the neighborhood that he came from and that he grew up in. But now that Manny has been faced with this reality of I'm not one of them, and all of a sudden I realize now that I'm not one of them and I'm gonna have to receive this type of treatment and whatever. He's so angry. So here in 13, when they're on their way, instead of going to Stone Mountain,
yeah,
right,
before you get there,
Go ahead.
why is he so angry and who's he angry with? And that's key here because it's Jared's father,
We're
Mr.
not-
Christensen.
Okay.
Yeah, he pressed charges.
Then we're
against
not,
him.
I didn't, oh yeah, you're right. There you
Yeah,
go.
he
Go ahead.
pressed
Bring it out.
charges against
Bring
him.
it
And
out.
now this is the guy, the white guy, that was treating him like his son.
Like,
Oh.
you're another son. Say that to me. You're
Go
like a
ahead, point
second
it out,
son.
point it
Yes.
out, Rev. Where,
Okay,
that's, you're
first-
right.
115
Yeah,
in that last paragraph.
I got you right
Okay.
there. Mhm.
And
Mhm.
now he was thinking, this is like a father to me, but then all of a sudden, he's bringing charges against me.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so
Mm.
that destroys his whole
Yes,
world
yes.
because he was out there without Justin, with the white guys
Yes, right.
and taking up.
And a white man, one of his friends' fathers treating him almost like a son and treating him good, you know.
Yeah. And then all of a sudden.
That same
he
man is
turns.
gonna,
turns.
but I noticed that the author did say, for assaulting his son,
Yeah, they did.
takes his hands off the wheel to do the air quotes, you know, for
Mhm.
assaulting his son. So now I'm an enemy.
So if you go back and think in terms of the fight that they got into,
Yeah,
they were all brawling,
yeah,
but this man is going to take up charges against him.
wow.
This man who already has an upper hand in society is now gonna use that upper hand to put a foot against his neck.
Right.
Okay. So here goes and then as I was reading this particular chapter here, of course, what rang in my mind was a real life incident of this down in Florida, I think it was. Isn't Florida the stand your ground state, the kind of thing? And I do believe that there was an incident like this where a young black was playing his music loud or something like that.
That was the young man in the hoodie holding Skittles.
Okay. No, this person was in a car playing his music loud.
Okay.
And this white man told him to turn his music down. Just like it was this story right here. It was one of them that I remember when it happened.
Mhm.
And I was like, and then this man was gonna get away with, I think he didn't have any charges pressed him. It was one of those things where, because it's staying your ground or something,
He was saying, stand your ground.
you're disturbing the peace
Yes.
with that loud music. And because I tried to get him to turn that music down and he wouldn't,
They wouldn't arrest him immediately
right,
because of standing.
That's right.
yeah. But he did shoot I think the kid died, I think he died.
One did.
Yeah, in real life. And so that's what this story spoke to, that particular incident. And so as I'm reading it, before I even got to the end, I was like, oh no, don't tell me Manny's gonna get shot. Don't tell me this person is gonna get so angry that they're gonna shoot. And then I keep reading, and I turn the page, and then
I can almost hear that gun going off. I don't know about you, but I could almost hear that gun going off. This is the second time I read it, because I knew it was gonna happen. I already read it. The
yeah.
second time it hit me harder than the first time.
But I looked at on page 150, on 118, when the guy was like, when he called them out of their name. In other words, turn that music down. Your music is too loud.
Yes.
And then Manny is like in a struggle with him, and here Justice is trying to like say, let's just do it. Let's just, maybe let's just get away from this guy. This line is so long. We can't, he's right here beside us, and he can feel something brewing, that it's gonna get ugly or get worse. This is what Justice is feeling. And I noticed the author is like, Justice is like, why is this light so long? We just need to get away from this guy. And then when he realizes the guy is gonna ride along beside him, he's like, well, let us just turn the music down. Let us just do it. And Manny's so angry, he provokes the guy provokes Manny, and Manny provokes the guy. And when he called those worthless, and so, what a racist, he really hated. Because this is what I got from this man. It's like, the music didn't even have to be loud. You can just ride down the road and see blacks and just say, I can't stand them. I hate those N-word people. And here he is, and of course he would be a cop. Wonder what that means. What you got to say about that, being a cop? Off duty, he was off duty, right?
He was off duty.
Mhm.
But he was a cop, he was a partner of another cop that had been accused, so there's a connection between the two.
Mhm.
Yeah, the other cop who shot someone.
Yeah,
But of course, they don't know that at the time.
No, they
Yes.
don't know that.
that's right,
Not at that time, yeah.
that's right.
But the idea of you driving down the street just
Mhm.
because you have loud music
Yeah,
and okay, is that reason to shoot some? Actually, is that any of your business? Tell
right.
somebody.
I hate who's playing the loud music.
Yeah.
Bottom line, has to come back, because I can't stand the loud music. I think about myself as an older woman. And when I see the kids, white or black, driving down the street with their music blasting out of the windows, shaking the car vibrating or the vehicle vibrating, it makes me angry. But of course, I'm not gonna bother them. I'm not gonna say, turn your music down, you idiots. I wanna say it, but I don't.
Look, I used to live down the street from a marching band, a third of a mile away. You could hear the drum line. Nobody hurt them. All summer we heard that drum line. Nobody hurt them,
Uh-huh.
right?
Yep,
It's not a reasonable response
yeah.
to volume.
I
kill
hate
someone.
I hate who's playing the loud music, and you're agitating me. You're bringing yourself to my attention by playing your music loud. I gotta look at you.
Yeah.
I gotta hear you and see you. Now, one thing that I gotta ride down the same street with you and look at you, but I gotta hear you too. And so we see what happens. And when he calls them those words, that name, and Manny is like, I can't believe this guy just said what he said. I can't believe he called us what. It was so funny. It says, it was not funny. 118, where Justice's heart jumps up between his ears. You all see that down at the bottom of page 118.
118.
When Manny says, after the man, says that awful phrase to him, you worthless little sons of thieves. Okay. And Manny is so hurt over hearing this. I know he didn't say what I think he said, right? Justice's heart jumps up between his ears. Just gets an idea of just how dangerous this situation is that I'm in right now. Based on Manny's anger and that man over there in that car, anger, it's getting ready to get real ugly. And Just knew it.
Yes.
Justice knew it, but he was caught in the middle. Forget that guy, Manny. Let's just stay calm. No, man, screw that. Manny leans over Just, hey, F you, so it's now it's on. Just is trying to tell him to chill. And this light is so long. Well, I'm trying to get Manny to let's not fight with this guy. But this light won't change. And then he reaches over and he leans forward to say, let's just do it for the peace sake. Turn this music down. And Manny's like, oh, shit. And I still don't know what happened yet because I didn't turn the page when I was reading it. I knew what was gonna happen, but I hadn't turned the page yet. Turn page 119 to page 120, chapter 14. Bang, bang, bang. And I'm going, no way. Don't tell me the guy shoots, Manny. I said, don't tell me he's gonna kill him. Is he gonna die?
Yeah. Had me stunned and
You
sad.
Yeah. When I saw the bang, bang,
Yeah.
bang, I'd already realized this is that same thing that happened down in Florida when that man got mad with the loud music and shot them. And I said, this is what this story is leaning toward. But I kind of wasn't prepared for it in one chapter for it to be over and done with. Bang, bang, bang in chapter 14.
As you look at Manny and Just, what do you think about the conversation between them and one is saying, use the words that you used.
Yeah.
Was it his fault or was it not his fault or
What you mean, man? Whose was it?
Manny leaned over and
What?
yelled at the man. Just was in.
Well, see, Just was at the point of him trying to lean forward to turn the music down. And Manny, after the man's done called them out of their names and everything, and Manny is like, oh no, it's on now.
Yeah.
F you,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
To the driver. Yeah.
And this would be a reaction of our young people, even today.
But see, Manny, here's the other thing. See, listen what's going on here. Justice knew that it was getting ready to escalate. And he knows who is coming up against them. All he knows is an angry white man. A very white angry man.
It's already yelled at.
And Justice could almost imagine a weapon is gonna come out, but Manny has no idea that that's.
Absolutely.
See, there's the difference.
There's the difference.
Manny has no idea how dangerous.
Yeah.
See, he didn't even know how dangerous it was.
He did not.
He had no idea how dangerous it was, but Justice did.
Yes.
Because of where he came from and because of what he had experienced. We gotta remember now that cop in the very beginning of
Right.
putting those handcuffs on his wrist, innocent black guy trying to save his little girlfriend, help us.
Yes.
So he's aware of how things could escalate with an angry white person, and Manny didn't have any clue.
Any clue whatsoever.
That's why he said, "Oh, like what you mean? It's like that."
Uh-huh.
Because he looked at a barrel staring at him when he said those last words.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. Any of you all?
Yeah. What about Rick? What about Bruce? Emily?
I'm just going to say that swearing when you've got a gun pointed at you seems like a reaction regardless of whether you're expecting it or not. I don't know. I haven't been there. Seems like a reasonable reaction to me.
Okay.
I thought about that too, when I first.
Yeah.
And
And the reason that I thought I knew we couldn't do this chapter without the next one is because the first thing I did once I got over the shock was turn
Yeah.
the page to see who lived.
Yeah. Okay.
Right?
She did. Yeah. And even when I saw the response that Manny said, I'm like, well, of course, Manny, you made of something different from me because I'm calling God. I'm calling something else. I'm saying something else besides that when I see that gun.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
And at the same time, I never would have stayed there in that position long enough for him to get that gun.
That's because you're smart enough. He had no idea a gun was coming.
I would have an idea a gun would be coming.
Justice did.
And unless I have mine.
But that goes back to Manny being sheltered.
That's right.
Goes
And
back to Manny being protected
that's right.
and Manny not really conceiving of the kind of evil
That's
that
right.
can exist in white races.
That's
Not-
right.
Not conceiving it.
He didn't have any idea that this guy's so angry with you. And what makes up to me, when that white man yelled out, "You worthless sons of bees," Manny ain't got sense enough to know that this is a real angry white man, that if he's that bold enough to even yell that out to two black guys, he ain't playing around and he ain't scared of you. Right now, not the kind of fear that he should have, but he's ready. He's ready to go to bat with you. Manny didn't have any idea, didn't have a clue, but Justice did. Justice is gonna lean over and try to turn the music down and caught the bullet and caught a bullet. Caught some of the bullets or one of the bullets too.
Yeah.
Okay,
And then chapter 14 is
chapter
what?
14 is bang, bang, bang. So I'm going, don't tell me that man shot them two. He shot them. And so I'm going, who lived and and then they're staring at me, part two.
Could I ask, I'm just appalled. Bang, bang, bang. Who shoots people? And we have it in our society. They're shooting.
But in the world I live in, it seems to be people from the armed forces more than just a redneck walking down the street with camouflage on. I mean, my experience. You understand what I'm saying?
Our South Carolina legislature just said, you don't need to have any training. You
Yeah.
don't need to have any background checks.
Yeah.
You're free to carry.
Yeah,
That's the state we're living in.
Yeah.
Where guns are worship.
and it's gonna get bad.
And
Oh,
so,
it's not
you know,
gonna
I
be
got a score to settle. I'll settle it with a gun.
Yeah.
Okay, I might get caught, I might not get caught, but that's the kind of mentality that we're doing that with a lot of our video games.
Yeah.
You
it's
know,
true.
shoot them up video games and they get back up and you shoot them again, they get back up and and so the youth culture today
Yeah.
has a dark violent streak in it.
Yeah. Yeah, and so it's just like you just said, who shoots a gun? And I was saying, lots of times, my experience of the news and the media and everything is usually armed force, someone from the police department or racist white police or whatever. It's easy to shoot. It's easy to take out that gun and shoot the person versus handcuff them, tasing them, or whatever the case may be. It's to shoot, like with people pulling into the wrong driveways,
Oh, yeah.
going up to the
Oh,
wrong
yeah.
door and knocking,
Yeah.
and that person shows up at that door with a gun.
Shoots her.
And
Shoots a young woman
Yeah.
knocking on his door at
Yeah.
night. Is this the right address?
yeah.
Bam!
Now, see, it was a white girl that was driving the car, the vehicle that time that pulled up in this yard and was gonna turn around, and the guy shot her. So, you know what I'm saying? This was just an evil person that was just mean. It didn't have to be racist or what, because it was a white shooter and a white
Right.
pedestrian, white motorist that was driving the car. So, because it's the world that we live in, the hatred.
Yeah.
And if you own a gun, because I know for one, I used to always say, I'm glad I don't believe in guns. I'm glad I'm so scared of a gun that I won't own one, because I know I'd use it. I wouldn't hesitate. My anger that's in me, and I was full of road rage. And I remember my mother, before she died, she said, baby, you can get yourself killed fighting with motorists on the street, because I would fight with them, literally. You got me off. This is before the Lutheran pastor. This is before the converted Pentecostal. This is before all of that. I would cuss and try to run a car off the road that they would fight. And mama would let me know how ignorant and crazy that was.
Yeah.
And she did get through to
I pulled
me.
out in front of the car one day. And really, I didn't see him coming. He came out of nowhere, but it was my job to see him. So I was in the wrong.
Right.
And if he'd had a gun that day, I think he'd have shot me. He had a handful of change,
Yeah.
pennies.
Yeah.
He threw them out the window and hit my car.
Yeah, because if he had a gun, he'd have shot me.
If he had a gun, I would have been shot.
This is all I got is this change
That's
here in
right.
my hand to
I
get back
know,
at
bro.
this white man. And I got to kill him. And anger, road rage. And when I see road rage on TV, I go, God, thank you for delivering me, that I'm not one of those people anymore, that I would do that.
Thank God.
Thank God. Thank God for Jesus.
You said something about the police officer. You got to understand the overseer's mentality. They were put there to keep blacks in check,
In
That's
order,
right.
yeah.
That's
in
right.
order. And then it moved from them to the police officers.
Yeah,
And so that is carried down.
yeah.
But in South Carolina, they are saying now anybody
Mm.
can get guns. All you gotta do is just go buy it and put it in a holster.
With no training,
no
and you
training,
don't even have to
anything.
have any training.
The problem now is that not only the police officers, but then we have those individuals who have that mentality. And you also have the blacks
Yeah,
that haven't been able to get them.
that's right.
So
And
now-
now I'm angry too. I'm just as angry as the white police and whatever. Give me a gun.
You threaten me, I'll threaten you.
Give me a gun.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So we have to get to our children and tell them, keep calm, because
Yeah.
you pull a gun, they
Yeah.
shoot you, the police officers
Yeah.
will shoot
yeah,
you, and the black first.
right.
But now they're gonna have to shoot at the whites too.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Yeah, it'll be that way.
It's-
So, but you see what I just said earlier, like because I remember driving down 20 West. I was on my way to Atlanta. And this truck with a Confederate flag on it tried to run me off the road twice. And I just began to pray and knew that my life was in danger. And it was down below Gilbert. It was down somewhere that way. And I remember the truck coming up on me real fast. And when I saw the truck and I saw the Confederate flag and everything, flags all over the truck, I was like, okay, I want to get out of this person's way. You know what I mean? So when I got over in the right lane, because I was in the left lane, I was in the passing lane, and I got over to get out of their way, and they stayed beside me, hovering beside me. And I'm going pretty speedy because I don't drive slow. I'm in the right lane driving at the same speed. And so I'm looking for him to speed on around me, and he's like, and so I noticed that he was coming over on me. So I literally, and I probably was talking on the phone too, but not handheld over the speaker. I'm like, this is this white guy with Confederate flags all over his truck, and I think he's trying to run me off the road. Let me get off this phone and pray. And so then when I slowed up, I got off my gas and everything, and he came over and cut me off. Like if I hadn't slowed up, I would have run into him. And then he slowed up in front. And so he was messing with me, this person. He was literally messing with this black girl in this car by herself going down toward Georgia on 20 West. And I just began
In a nice car,
in a nice little car.
nice car.
Nice car. And I began to pray. Because my heart, I was literally in fear of my life. Because there was not a whole lot of traffic. There was no other cars. It was like early in the morning. I was going down, and so there was nobody else out there really. And I was like, my life is in danger right now. And so I prayed, and he, after a little while, he sped on off and went away. And I said, oh, thank you, Jesus. Okay, so back to the book here. We got the transcript in part 2 before we even get to chapter 15. We got the transcript from the evening news on January 26th. Okay? Do we need to read it, or what you think? Anybody online feel like responding on it, or do you think it needs to be read, or what you think?
Well, go ahead and read it quick like that.
Okay, good evening, and welcome to the Channel 5 News at 5. And our top story, tragedy in Oak Ridge this afternoon, where 2 young men in an SUV were shot at a traffic light. The incident occurred this afternoon at the intersection of 13th Street and Marshall Avenue. According to the wife of the shooter, who was riding in the passenger seat, there was a brief dispute over loud music before shots were fired from one vehicle into the other. The identities of the wounded are being withheld pending further investigation, but we've received reports that one of the teens was pronounced dead en route to the hospital, and the other is in critical condition. The shooter has been identified as 52-year-old Garrett Tisson, an officer with the Atlanta Police Department. Officer Tisson was not on duty at the time of the shooting and was taken into police custody at the scene. More on this story as it continues to develop. Now, first of all, when I read this transcript, right away to me, I could even tell that the shooter's wife may have been just like Justyce, saying, leave him alone, honey, maybe. She may hate black, she may have been hating blacks too. But and for her to even give the story, she did give this information. She didn't even have to tell that.
But she didn't say, she just said some shots were fired.
No, but she said,
She doesn't say, from my husband fired the shots.
oh yeah.
She just says some shots were fired from one car into the other.
Okay, so see
So
how
I think she was protecting her.
okay, well, you see how
I really do.
You see, well,
I think she was setting up. I look how honest I'm being. There were some shots fired.
no, it was all loud music.
I couldn't tell about where they fired. It could have been for either car, but they were fired.
And it was over loud music. That was the part I was giving her
Yep,
credit
yep,
for,
yep,
for
yep,
being
yep,
honest
yep,
enough
yep,
to
yep.
say there was some loud music, and that's what the dispute was about. But like you just said,
And then later, I think she was the one that said he thought they had a gun. So I mean, she gives her husband, gives him more cover.
well, now when we get to that, this is what scares me here in this world that we live in.
And I understand they quoted her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Right.
So that's over. Okay, so that's over in chapter 15. So here, as we end up this chapter 14, after reading the transcript, okay, on page 124, dear Martin, here comes a little letter.
Yeah.
He's gone. Never did anything to anyone, and now Manny's gone. I can't do this anymore. Chapter 15, 27 days later. Okay. Wow.
He's gone.
They're gonna be attending Manny's funeral. Okay. And I thought it was interesting too, because of the funerals that we attend. Dr. McCauley, you there?
He may be in class.
Okay,
He's-
sometimes he has to go. Okay. The minister,
I'm trying to unmute. Yes, ma'am, I'm here.
the first words out of the pastor's mouth.
I'm here.
Okay. We are not here to mourn a death. We're here to celebrate a life gone on to glory. Okay. Sound like a Baptist preacher.
Okay.
Sound like a black Baptist preacher to me.
Sound like
And
McCullough.
you know, I can
Sound like
totally
that.
picture saying that for somebody who's 95 and died peacefully.
So what
There
now?
you go.
I can picture saying that for somebody who's 95 and gone and died peacefully in their sleep.
Yeah,
I'm not sure that's how I feel about a teenager.
yeah. And this preacher knows how the boy died too. He knows how the young man died. Gone on to glory. And then Justice shared his idea that many didn't even believe in heaven and hell. Just can imagine Manny saying, the only place I've gone on to is that overpriced casket. The preacher is putting him in glory. And we ain't come to grieve. We're here to celebrate a life. We ain't come to mourn a death. And I'll say that as a pastor too. This is a celebration of life, memorial life.
Reverend Jackie,
Yes.
I think part of, and I happen to have the overview of the plot of the text, and when I read this portion as you reading,
Okay.
that's part of the reason why training matters, because what Pastor Embley is saying is very, very critical.
Yes.
If you're dealing with a youth of that age,
Yes.
and in many instances, you will find out that the churches often get overflow with
Yeah.
people because the youngster who have passed away,
Yes.
and there are a lot of unanswered questions. There are some angst and some questions about the sovereignty of God in the
Mhm.
midst of such a tragedy.
Yeah.
And for the preacher to stand and talk about not there to celebrate a life, I mean, celebrate a death, but a life.
Yeah.
If you're not careful, especially in the Black community, somebody gonna stone you.
Yeah, because we don't do it. We're a little careful about it
Yeah,
in the Black
yeah.
community. Saying that like that.
But the reality is some folk will find out to be very insensitive.
Yes. That's true.
Uh,
That's
yeah.
true.
And sometimes they're trying to comfort themselves, not so much the family. They're trying
Precisely.
to, they're trying to make
Not so much
themselves-
about the family,
right.
Bishop.
Yeah,
You're
that's
right.
right. That's right. That's true. That's true. Uh-huh. Okay, so what we're seeing in chapter 15 is Manny's funeral and how Justice is handling being there, a shot victim himself at his buddy's funeral. The buddy died. I'm alive, arm in a sling, injured from being shot. I'm a victim as well, but I live. Okay. Any comments on this first portion of chapter 15?
Sounds to me like the author's been in these shoes before.
Yes.
Sounds to me like she's attended some funeral of young Black men that have been shot.
Yeah.
And I think she does a pretty realistic job.
Yes, she does. Mm-hmm.
And it reminded me of one time children started joining gangs, and they said to themselves, well, I need to do all I can do right now because I'm not going to live beyond 20 or 15, right? And it seemed as if it gave them a leeway to do anything they wanted to do and act like they wanted to do because they didn't expect to live too long. They expect someone to kill them.
Okay.
Yeah.
True. So here on page 126, and I want to throw this at you all. In real life, when we hear these things happening, and look how, because we know the story, we know what really happened. Because as the readers, we know what Manny didn't do. We know there was no gun. But what about when you're white and you're hearing this story? What about you're white and you're hearing that this white man shot these Black guys and one of them died and one of them didn't? But they say, based on some of the speculation that Justice has heard, Manny threatened Garrett Tyson. One of the boys threw something into Tyson's Suburban. Justice had a gun, etc. Think how when you hear this story, we hear stories whenever incidents happen.
It's called disinformation and out lying.
Yeah.
And it happens today in almost anything.
Yeah,
Uh,
and you don't know, if you weren't there, you don't know.
You do not know.
But who do you believe? Whose report do you believe? Whose report? And it depends on who you are, on whose report you believe, or where your heart
That's
is,
true.
or your
For a
mind.
long time, we gave the officers the benefit of the doubt.
That's right.
And only recently have we to say that that ain't necessarily so.
Yeah.
And we're realizing how often
Yeah.
they will lie under pressure and make up things to cover their tracks.
Yeah, right. And so I'm just saying, I was just saying to you all, if you're white, how when you hear these facts, you don't know, you weren't there. And I'm gonna tell you, as blacks, we lots of times immediately don't want to believe that that was the fact. And it could very well be. The black guy could have easily had a gun, threw something in his car, and when we see the report, we don't want to believe it, even though it may be true. And then if you're white, you want to believe it for the fact that this person was defending themselves. They had no choice. Huh?
You're right, and the thing about it is that, if we are going down the street and there's loud music,
Mm-hmm.
and you ask a white person about the incident,
Mm-hmm.
then they may say, why did they have the music loud?
True, because they shouldn't have had the music loud.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
And so what happens if they cause it on themselves?
And the fact of the matter is, though, Reverend Kenner, the fact of the matter is music being playing loud, even though it might be a offense to some people, there's an argument on both sides of the aisle to have, especially in the Black community, that a lot of music does not account for some sort of violence of that nature that will erupt to somebody's life being taken away.
Mm-hmm.
For the most part, we are accustomed to the young guys just playing their music loud.
Yes.
And it's becoming more like a phenomenon that even young guys are
Yeah.
trying to follow in the same trend, and they're all riding the pickup truck and racing up the what you call it, the tire to make sure
Yeah.
that they
Monster truck up on the tall
yes,
tires.
yes.
The
And
tall
some of them can even be riding, a sedan, and they won't put big tire over it.
Yes.
And so the music is more now like this hip hop trend that seems to transcend, not
Yeah.
just in the Black community, but among the white young guys.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So the music being loud now is it's the kind of phenomenon that you just can't attribute to one side, so to
That's
speak.
right. That's right. Absolutely.
You're absolutely right on that. The thing about it is that I don't hear of whites getting shot because of loud music.
Never seen a case of it. I didn't hear of it.
And that is true. That is true.
Mhm.
That
Yeah.
is true. Or white does not get shot because of loud music.
Right. That's right.
But the statement Reverend Jackie was the statement that Reverend Jackie made earlier that I think ought to challenge us. Through which lens do you see this, and what is the interpretation you gave towards it?
Uh-huh.
Because from one segment, especially from the Black community, it is unlikely that a story would be accepted to be true.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas if you were to go in the Donald Trump world, that there's a presupposition where the officer was defending himself. There's a likelihood the boys had some guns in the vehicle, which could not be true. But that is it's the perception.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
All right.
It's true.
Yeah,
Okay.
now we have Bruce and we have Rick,
Rick.
and we have Emily, and we have Bishop.
Okay.
Anything you got to say? Because I'm getting ready to turn it back over to Jackie, and she'll be summing it up and get the last. Anybody? Bruce?
Yeah, I was really struck by the timing, that this event, this shooting took place right after MLK's birthday celebration. And
Oh.
then the funeral is taking place during Black History Month.
Oh.
And this 27 days of waiting for the funeral, waiting for justice,
To get where?
get out of the hospital. It doesn't really want to be there.
But they waited
All
for
this
him.
waiting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Waiting for justice.
Yeah. Waiting for justice to attend.
And Justice didn't want.
He said didn't want, and I don't blame him. I
attend it.
wouldn't have
Yeah,
wanted to be there either.
All right, thank you.
Uh-uh. Yeah.
All right.
Anyone else? Thanks for pointing that out, Bruce. That kind of slipped my
Yeah,
mind about them waiting the 27 days
27
just for
days.
justice to attend. Pastor
Yeah.
Rick, you got anything you want to add?
No.
Okay.
I'm good.
Okay, now, so as I sum up this chapter 15 here, before I get to the indictment, the Tyson indictment, I think I found it humorous in pages 128, 129 about Justice got this thing for this white girl, SJ. And when he made a fool out of himself and kissed her at one point, she turned off from him. And we know she has a thing for him. We know that she has feelings for him. So according to the author, we see and know that. Now, Justice clearly lets Manny know in the past that his mother was strongly against him dating a white woman, a white girl. And I know that coming from the black race, that's a black mother. Black mother feels like, why can't you want a girl that looks like me? Or your sister. Why can't you be turned on to someone who looks like us? She has the right to feel that way. Yes, she does. However, here we go. She sees this SJ, and she sees the chemistry. She sees this little stuff going on between, and she ain't having it. And so I get appalled when Justice literally compares his mother to the bad white guy who shot him and Manny for the race for her. Now, that went a little too far with me. I said, now wait a minute now, Justice. You get a little too hard on mama right now. You see what I'm saying? The mother has the right to feel the way she feels, but he knows that mama is disapproving of SJ, and she makes it known. That was comical to me because it is real. It's just how it is in reality that African-American woman is in that situation when her son literally turns to a white woman or shows interest in a white woman. It clearly tells her and her sisters, and her daughters and everybody, he finds beauty in someone who looks the opposite of us.
But notice, he kept those feelings to himself. He did not share them.
No, he wouldn't. Well, who would he share? He was saying how it was making him mad and he really want to argue. He'd have been slapped down
That's
in the face,
exactly right.
killed by the black mother. If he didn't even thought to go through. He ain't crazy. He had to go. But what I'm saying is, he's no different than his mother. His mother isn't worse than him because he's got. Here he was saying, wait a minute. The white man, there's something that's happened in there where the white man that gave him the car.
That's in the next chapter.
That's in the next chapter. Okay, so I'm jumping ahead of myself.
That's right. That's right.
Okay, good. But that was when I was thinking about it. It was like, Justice, you got feelings too,
Yep.
just like your mama. Give your mama a break for thinking and being the way she is because you're put in that situation.
We'll discuss that when
Okay.
we get to that one, because
Oh yeah. Well, yeah, I got you. I got
I'll
you.
go along with him. I can feel the feeling that he had.
Yeah,
But then he came to his senses later
Yeah.
on.
yeah.
So we'll get to that one.
Okay, so
Yeah.
so that's it where it ends up. Let's see, on page 130, which is the end of this part of the story. He says he wants to call mama on a prejudice. And so that's that.
He finally calls out the reporter. He calls the reporter the A word.
Yeah.
He calls the reporter, you are,
And I'm saying you're no better, you're just as bad as your mom. You find criticism with your mom, but you're in the same boat.
Yeah, and during that time, we
Uh-huh.
find that he and his mother was almost on the same page with the girl. Yeah, because she didn't say, don't do it,
Yeah.
but she reminded him who he was and who
Yeah.
she is. And
He had done told Manny that his mother had given him that talk.
But
Don't
he
you
said,
ever.
I'm gonna walk her,
Yeah,
and she didn't really refuse.
yeah,
But the white girl
Uh-huh.
decided, I'm going with my parents.
yeah.
Rather
But
than
she's smart.
walk me. Yeah.
That there ain't no.
So it was an interplay right
Yeah,
there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
she's a smart girl. So anyway, so we got them, the bodyguards come and the one white bodyguard that could have been called Lars bumps for Justice's arm and causes him all kind of pain, and that's the end of that. So now the indictment on page 131, which is the chapter.
Got
That's
2 or 3 minutes.
Okay, that is the chapter.
That's the chapter.
Yesterday afternoon, a Georgia grand jury returned a multiple count indictment against former Atlanta police officer Garrett Tyson in connection with the January shooting involving 2 teenage boys. The indictment stands in glaring contrast to the Nevada and Florida cases involving the deaths of Shamar Carson and Tavarius Jenkins. And 2 of the charges, aggravated assault and felony murder, have many members of the community in an uproar. The man was defending himself from thugs, said Tyson's neighbor, April Henry. I've known Garrett for 25 years. If he says those boys had a gun, they had a gun. Fellow police officer who asked to remain anonymous claims the indictment is nothing more than a publicity stunt at Tyson's expense. They're out to make an example of him. Prosecutor pulled the race card and the grand jury bought it, hook, line, and sinker. And many agree. The solidarity rally held in Tyson's honor, picketers wore t-shirts that read, race baiting should be a crime, while holding signs featuring Tyson's face and the words protector and poster child.
Not poster child, yeah.
And yeah, protector, not poster child. Thank you. A trial date has yet to be
And you
announced.
just see how the media stirs up the antagonism on both sides.
The media
Plays it up,
The media
Raise
does
it
it
up.
both. That's right.
so that you don't really know who's telling the truth and who's
That's
not.
right. That's right. The media does that.
Yes.
Media does that a lot. So this ends our discussion this evening. And that's it. I can ask Dr. McCauley, would you close us out in prayer, sir?
Sure, I'll be glad to.
Okay.
Let us look to the Lord, please.
Yes.
The God of our weary years, the God of our silent tears, you who have guided us on our way, lead us into that path, we pray. Thank you for this discussion, very informative. Dear Martin, that speaks of the issues of race relations in our country and what seemed to be the on level playing field within our political and social discourse. We thank you for the church that continues to create parity as we discuss these matters, as uncomfortable as it may appear for some members of our society. We thank you that these brothers and sisters have seen the need to be courageous enough to address the ills of our society, those whom you have raised to be prophets and sages of our time, speak the prophetic gospel to address issues that I think will bring the church to a realization that we all have one God, one Lord,
Yes.
one faith, one baptism.
Yes.
Bless us now and keep us in your path until we assemble again. This we pray with thanksgiving in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. Thank you.
Praise God.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. McCauley.
Dr. McCauley is
Yeah,
good.
Yes, sir.
who's leading next time on the 23rd?
You.
Am I? Okay.
Right there.
Yeah.
I got it next 2 weeks from now.
Yep.
Yes. Okay.
Okay.
And of course, book study will be June 18th.
June
None
18th,
in May. None in May.
Yeah.
none in May.
None
None
in
in
May.
May.
Yeah. May we're studying
Reverend
stewardship
County gotta
instead.
keep me informed now. I'm gonna try to be here for June 18th.
All
That's
right.
what I got the
Okay.
emails for.
And
I'm
Pastor
trying here.
Emily does well. She still keep us informed that's how we're able to have on tonight.
Yeah, by sending the email and stuff.
Yeah.
That's good. Very
All right,
good.
July 2nd, 16th, and the 30th. July 2nd, 16th, 30th.
That's Helen. Be on there.
It depends on where I would be in this part of the states. So
Okay.
Okay.
All righty.
All right.
Okay, this ends another.
Thanks, everybody. Thank you, Pastor Jackie.
Thank you, Pastor
Thank you all.
Jackie.
Thanks, everybody. Thank you, Neil.
Yes, all right. God bless.
Bye-bye.
Thank you, Neil.
Thank you, Neil.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, she's gone, everybody's gone, and
Yeah.
there we go. Right.
Here we are.
Neil will come in and do that.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, we're fine.
All
We're
right.
fine.
Okay.
So
Did you get some time